saw River popping off on the Jarvan. We saw them kind of having a few disadvantageous team fights early on, which I know is something they've tried to clean up because they've recognized their early game isn't nearly as strong as they want it to be. As we see these first few bans come in, I'm curious to see how paiN respond, because just mentally, they had that game absolutely in hand.
It's so tilting. It's crazy. Yeah, I mean, you're at a point where they think, oh, we just win this one fight, we get Soul, or we just win this one fight and we end the game. It's like, it's basically ours. You know, they had double GA and Zonias. They had such a good position. And it all goes wrong. And not only do you then get put into a bad spot, the game just ends, right? Like, you don't even get a redo. It's just over. And so it takes you from being in a spot where mentally they were probably thinking, all right, great, we tied it up. It's 1-1. And now you are one game away from your year being over and from your Dreams of Worlds being crushed. So it definitely is really hard for them in that spot. We have Gwen coming through. Galio, kind of one of the standard answers, obviously was used in game 1. Jax was used also earlier. So those are kind of two of the most common answers up in the top lane, and they are both gone. So I do really like it as a blind pick, and I'm curious to see what Dokla's going to cook to bring out here.
Yeah, I'm wondering what Dokla is going to respond with, especially since Weiser on this Gwen has been really strong. It's actually their most banned versus. Like, it's a champion that's banned versus them the most this past split. I also like, I will say, the takeaway of the Ryze, because obviously Ryze is really strong. It can go anywhere. It can fit into a variety of compositions, as we see the Nico coming through. But it also has been kind of a cheat sheet for paiN in terms of how they like to play side lanes. So I love this pickup. And then we've seen Ayla have some amazing pop-off moments on this Nico.
And it has been getting banned a lot in the second phase of ban. So this time they're saying, you know what, we actually want it. We are going to go for it early. Try to play for it, Liam Prout a little bit more. Game 1 to Game 2, that was the biggest difference, was paiN just kept it close in the 1v1s and the 2v2s, right? It was a much more even game as far as that was concerned. And then they obviously team fought well. But Cassio going to be thrown down here. We did see, you know, Quad bring this out, you know, in this exact matchup. So Quid is definitely going to be familiar with it. He plays against one of the best Cassios around.
Yeah, and Cassio did actually receive the base mana buff on her E, Twin Fang, which is actually really huge. I actually thought she was already in a great spot. This puts her in an even better spot. And then the Trundle coming through for Carioca, I also really love that, considering the way that 100 Thieves like to play and already the kind of looks that we're getting from them here.
Well, and especially when you consider the fact that a lot of the remaining answers for Dokla in top lane would be tanks, right? So you're saying, okay, well, if you're going to go towards a tank, you're going to get punished pretty heavily for that. So when I said Garen, I unironically thought it could be coming out. We're going to get River Kiana.
There it is.
Spicy. It did get nerfed a little bit, but it has been getting played in the LPL and the LCK, and I do really feel like it fits his playstyle, similarly to why I thought he was one of the best, if not the best, Nefari's in the league.
Yeah, as soon as I saw, I believe it was Kanavi, I saw first play it over in LPL. This champ has risen like astronomically in prio over in LPL. It's also been played in LCK. Did get nerfs on this patch, so I was curious if we just were never going to see it. But River, I know I've talked to you about this so much off camera. I was like, man, now that Kiana's back, like, I'd love to see what River and 100 Thieves can do with this champion.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be really exciting. Did get some pretty decent nerfs on this patch, you know, as we've said. And Cassio, like you said, you know, Cassio gained 50 base mana as well as damage on the E, which doesn't sound like a lot, but Cassio is so mana hungry, especially in the early levels, that actually can be very impactful. That 50 mana can be the difference between being able to walk down someone and, you know, get a solo kill or push them back, and just being and being forced to base. So now it's going to be supports getting targeted here from 100 Thieves. Makes sense. They do already have the Nico, so they're going to take away the Rel. There's a lot of engage options up and available, though. So I wouldn't be surprised to see if they wanted to ban out some of those kind of stronger laning supports to try to get a dominant 2v2, because you can't ban them all. You say Rel is the strongest out of those, you ban that, but then it's like there's Leona, there's Nautilus, there's so many other picks, so you're not going to ban them all out. So instead they're going to ban the Karma here, expecting maybe like a Karma Ezreal or something along those lines, and they really want to play for 2v2 dominance, so I do think it makes quite a bit of sense.
Yeah, I think they also, I mean, we've talked about how important this 100 Thieves bot lane, or this paiN bot lane is to the team's success. Titan and Curry are both really, really key pieces. They do, like to get ahead in that 2v2. So I also do like removing the Karma in case they wanted to go push.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing is, it's a possibility of Ryze going top with them hovering this. That is an option. I don't really think that they would be doing it. I think Jace got buffed on this patch, or like Garen, like I said, did get buffed, but it's also a Dokla special. So I wouldn't have been shocked to see something like that. This would be really spicy. Set can just get in and absolutely brawl with Gwen. This is something some top laners have been talking about coming out in scrims, especially because Whippo had started it.
Yeah.
As one of these top laners that Gwen just cannot scrap with. He kind of just runs at you and outstats you is kind of the idea. Whether or not Dokla is super comfortable on the pick is something I am interested in, because it is kind of weird how you have to approach team fights to get a good angle for the ultis into the backline. You kind of have to be playing a little bit different. You really have to know your damage limits when you're looking for W flash and these types of things. But it is definitely a champion that can straight up just outstat you in a lot of matchups, and I think this is one.
Well, over on paiN's side, I'm still looking for some powerful engage mechanisms, right? In terms of hard CC, what this team has is Cassiopeia ulti that you have to be facing her for, and Varus ulti, which hits one target. So one of these big engage supports would be the thing that I'm looking to see here, to just give them more go buttons, more ability to decide when, where, and how they want to fight, and they will pick up the Nautilus for Curry.
Yeah, and I think that's really, really crucial because, again, the way that paiN, even though they have a lot of tools, right, for absorbing what 100 Thieves want to do, I like that locked in for Curry.
Yeah, I mean, it basically, I think it is good, but I also think the Sivir response is fantastic, right? Because Sivir is now here to be able to speed up your entire team to go in, to look for these engages. Also, if you want to press R on Sivir, you better have popped the spell shield early. It's the easiest thing ever to actually spell shield. If you're on point, you can also spell shield Varus ult. You can spell shield a lot of valuable things here as FBI. And because there is, these three melee champions over on the other side, you can kind of just ricochet through the team, right? Like you can kind of just be bouncing damage in through the team. It also gives you really powerful wave clear in the mid lane that is going to enable Quid to play heavily through sides on the Ryze. So I do feel like it really kind of brought the composition together quite well.
I mean, look at the teammates that love it too. Ryze and Set both just having the extra move speed to run at people, giving Nico the extra acceleration to get the proper positioning there for her big pop blossoms. Like, there's a lot of good synergy here for this 100 Thieves squad, for this draft that they put together. And I gotta say, I really like what they've done in the third game.
Yeah, I love it, and I love it not just against what paiN have, right, but then also for 100 Thieves specifically. Their willingness to pull the trigger, this draft rewards that so well. And they do have tools to deal with what a lot of paiN are going to throw at them. I am most curious, honestly, because again, big River enthusiast, to see what he's able to get done on this Kiana pick and how he could potentially set up skirmishes and fights, especially around neutral objectives. She can be so good at that.
Yeah, nothing too crazy coming out. The only thing that is kind of note to me is the Hail Blades on the Varus, which is definitely not that typical in pro play. 7% of Varus games are playing that. Generally did indicate that you were going to be playing lethality and looking for some kind of really aggressive trades in lane. But almost always these days you see Lethal Tempo or Comet and kind of like nothing else. So
yeah, that just gives it away.
Exactly. So this is definitely atypical, and we'll see how he's able to perform. Curry is going to be playing Spellbook. Pretty standard, but does always have to be mentioned with the Nautilus, because I just feel like Nautilus is paper a lot of the time when you're going in, especially because we talked about it, Redemption is getting so popular. So if you're playing Spellbook Nautilus with Redemption, you are on a one-way trip, and you better be sure that engage is good, because if it is not, you just die instantly and you get nothing done.
Well, we've talked about how he is kind of the primary source of engage on this team, right? Outside of, I guess, a Varus ult going in.
We have to remember, these teams also did play in split number 1 all the way back when we had that first matchup. And 100 Thieves, was able to win it out, as we're going to see River getting invaded and pushed out. He did not even get a single camp, so is going to get pushed out here by Carioca and just going to have to run to the other side. But this was a pretty dominant series from 100 Thieves. They really did perform well. And the North in general went 8-1 against the South.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I am now curious, as we kind of see the highlights from that split one, curious to see, what River is going to do now, because Carioca giving him a little bit of a taste of his own medicine from the prior game with that invade, is going to be able to farm this top side. And River just headed bot side. We'll see where he'll go next. But nice little invade coming out of paiN.
Yeah, it's really nicely done. And I mean, it's so hard because normally you would want to say, okay, he's going to my top side camps, so I'm just going to go clear his bot side camps. But if you do that when you're this low on health and anyone collapses on you, you can just die. I mean, he's 200 health. I still feel like he's going to think he has to do it, or he's just going to be kind of starved out of this game. But, I mean, he is just ridiculously low. It's like, yeah, he's going to get 3, but he has 250 health. He's still going to go for it. If Trundle crosses back through mid, which it looks like Trundle is going to do, though, I don't know if River's even going to have time. He should be at least able to get 1.
Nice trapped. Damage onto Quid there as well. Yeah, the pillar placed perfectly to trap Quid in the corner, force the early flash out of the Rise. Nice presence here from Karioka.
Really, really nice usage of this kind of prio that this Casio was able to get initially.
He's going to go behind Casio now. River actually just circumvented all the vision. He had that ward in the side brush that got him past.
Okay, just throws out the invisibility there with the Elemental Wrath. Just walks on through it. No angle because Roamer got back in time.
That's really clever, though, from River. He steals the Raptors. He drops a ward in the Raptor side brush. So now he's just going straight up to here because he wrapped around seeing where Karioka was. So he steals away that. He's going to steal away the blue buff. River's just such an intelligent jungler, right? Like, everything he does in the early game always has, you can see the purpose behind it. You can see the intelligence that he is showing. And at the end of the day, yeah, he lost those 3 camps on top side. His level 1 was horrible, but he got 2 camps back. He's going to take top Scuttle. If Karioka doesn't go straight to Scuttle, he could double Scuttle him as well.
Yeah, and I mean, here we go. Karioka is wrapping around.
And he doesn't use his smite.
Yeah.
So River could go straight towards bot Scuttle if he wants. And he's a good chance of double scuttling. And then, honestly, River's ahead. Like, it's crazy to be able to navigate that kind of a situation where you're, like, almost dying to the camps. He might even pass through mid and look for a gank on his way.
We'll see if he can affect that lane. Roamer does still have flash available on this Cassiopeia. River should, if nothing else, be able to clear out the control ward. Just make things a little bit more dangerous here for Roamer. Remove some of that confidence he would have to be able to play towards the top side of that lane. You can see down there in bottom, that wave currently being pushed out by Titan as Curry has roamed up into the bottom side river here as well. Just seeing if there's any plays to be made, but now he can rejoin back up with Titan, keep this wave shoving.
And you can see Curry was moving up and down the river, protecting that bottom side scuttle, so won't be any angle for that. And with 100 Thieves moving their bot lane up towards top, of course that would have been difficult already. Unfortunate for Dokla there as well. Misread the W damage, so couldn't finish the cannon, and now doesn't have the W for this trade. He could just... Whoa. I thought he was maybe going to die. I don't think that was a WQ.
I mean, he might die right here because Karioka's making his way over. Titan steps forward, wants the rain of arrows to interrupt. As now Dokla flashes to the other side of the pillar. Flash follow coming in from Karioka. There's the stun from Dokla, but he does not have a whole lot of shielding left. Karioka taking the first blood for paiN.
Yeah, nice recognition of from Karioka of where he could get onto Dokla. That post-swap with 100 Thieves, setting up their bot lane to try to get something done against Weiser, ends up going in the favor of paiN Gaming with that first blood.
And honestly, it all kind of came down to the fact that Dokla used the W to try to get a Canyon Minion. He didn't even get the Canyon Minion, and then they're saying, Art, you don't have W? That is your defense, right? And then they just go super aggressive on him. They pump so much damage into him. He didn't have that W shield to be able to absorb some of that. He's put incredibly low, and that allows Karioka to finish him off. Even though I felt like the Trundle kind of used his pillar poorly, and I was thinking there was an opportunity for him to get out. Generally, when you can just walk up on someone like as Trundle, you want to hold the pillar until after they flash or use their movement, you know? But in this case, he did not do that, and it allowed Dokla to almost get away. It cost Karioka his flash, but they still do get that kill. And paiN, again, out to a decent start, though they are still down on gold.
Yeah, Dokla does still have a pretty significant personal lead in this head-to-head. You can see 37-17 in farm. Now, there is a massive pile of minions down there for Weiser to try to collect, and he should be able to pick up most of those and alleviate some of the pressure of that big old lead. But, I mean, there's not 20 minions sitting right there. This is still a sizable advantage for Dokla in the 1v1. Curry goes in for the dredge line, but he's going to find FBI with it. Nicely done there to knock the 100 Thieves AD carry down to about 200 HP as Titan follows it up with a little bit of damage.
Yeah, I think FBI was expecting that Ayla would be able to block it. He tried to block it with his clone, but didn't have the kind of timing and angle correct there. So FBI takes way more damage than he was expecting, unfortunately, for him. It's a great trade there, but they are stepping forward, trying to threaten Titan.
And as we're looking at how these different lanes are shaping up, nice spell shield there from FBI on the piercing arrow. Mid lane, we are finally seeing Roamer get the better of Quid in this 1v1. The early flash being forced out from Karioka's drive-by gank, I think contributes a lot to that. On top of the fact that Roamer got counterpick and decided, yeah, I will slam the Casio counter into the Rise.
Yeah, and Karioka was pinging mid, but now he looks like he might be headed bot to try to make a play onto Dokla down here, help his Gwen out.
Okay, Weiser with a little bit of needlework here. Dokla does not want to give him the opportunity for the sweet spot, but now it's a play on Quid, popping the phase rush, getting himself back away. Weiser down to 200 HP as Dokla's going to be the one to fall. paiN Gaming get kill number 2.
Yeah, Dokla uses the ult, tries to turn it around, but doesn't have just enough damage to be able to finish him off. If he had his flash, maybe you could try to look for something onto Weiser, but Weiser just intelligently allows the Trundle to finish that kill.
Yeah.
And now that is that gold advantage, that CS advantage that he had is going to disappear.
Now top side, Titan under some pressure here. The Pop Blossom forces him to flash away. 100 Thieves might just lose Ayla. There it is, a botched dive from the Thieves. And paiN Gaming are feeling good about it. Supreme display of talent does enough damage to guarantee that 100 Thieves are finally on the board. But FBI's got 50 HP as Curry and Romer are making their way up. Dredge line for the execution. And now with the additional Twin Fangs onto River, he's not walking away. paiN 5-1.
This is like a flashback to that botched 100 Thieves dive where Ayla was playing Karma and walked into the tower too early. I mean, this dive was just horrible here from 100 Thieves, and paiN punished them so much from that. You know, not only are they going to get the kills, they're going to get the grubs off the back of this as well.
Yeah.
And 100 Thieves, these early games, kind of game over game, just getting worse.
Yeah.
That dive was whack. That was not good, and 100 Thieves are taking the punishment from that one. paiN Gaming loving this sequence, because it was a pretty quiet game before that, and now paiN just with a big injection of gold.
Well, and you saw paiN, right? Like making plays onto Quid in the mid lane, making plays onto that bot side with Karaoke's gank onto Dokla, and now they're in a really nice spot here to try to clean up some of these neutral objectives potentially. But I just love how they keep looking for windows. Also the attention onto Quid to try to keep him pressured, try to keep this Cassio ahead.
And River, you know, known for a lot of these jams, but career record 0-0,
Okay.
and solo queue record. To be fair, I'm sure he has hidden accounts and other accounts that we don't know about. But this is kind of like the publicly available accounts. He has not played a single game of it in that, and he has not played a single game of it in his pro career. So he could be scrimming on it. He could be playing it on hidden solo queue accounts. I don't think he's first time in Kiana, but hasn't got a lot of experience.
I feel like if you told me River had first time Kiana, I believe you.
He is that kind of player.
Okay.
He has the confidence.
All right.
I mean, one of her abilities is literally named Audacity, and River is the type of player to play rather audaciously, as he will start up the Drake. This is a 10-minute first Drake here being attempted from 100 Thieves, secured by River as Karaoke wanted to use the Flash Chomp steal to try to take it away. River uses a defensive ulti there on Karaoke, who pops the Subjugate just to guarantee it's not an even trade. So paiN might lose the objective, but they pick up yet another kill. Now they're 1,500 gold ahead.
And they might look for a potential play on this bot side, although they don't have a wave in yet.
Yeah, I'm surprised Dokla actually stayed, didn't base and TP back, but he feels, I guess, with Ayla around, he's going to be okay. And Quid did push in on the other side of the map. You know, they are farming the Sivir up in mid lane, but the fight's definitely going the way of paiN. You know, mostly, you know, the big deficit was built in that really poorly done top lane dive from 100 Thieves, and they're going to have to kind of climb out of this hole that they have built for themselves. Luckily, they did at least get that dragon, because it would have been a total disaster had they not won the smite fight on the dragon. But River here is going to be having to show us, I think, a pretty stylish game on the Kiana. It's not the easiest champion to really succeed on, especially when there's so much CC. Like, trying to go through the miasma, trying to go through, you know, potential ults from Nautilus and, you know, passive roots from Nautilus is going to make things very difficult.
And I mean, it's the opposite of what we talk about with these like powerful, tanky, or utility junglers, that even if they fall behind, yeah, they can still impact the game very easily. No, Kiana's got to be doing damage if she wants to find value in these fights. Karaoke trying to come around there for the gank onto Quid, but the phase rush, very effective at getting him away from all of these slows. However, 4v1, he's going to need more than a phase rush to survive this one. Romer's not going to get the stun there with a petrifying gaze, but he doesn't even need it. paiN bring 4 men down to the bottom lane, and they find their mark. It's a 7-1 game.
Yeah, and the biggest difference is a lot of times when paiN was doing these overloaded plays, they'd be getting punished super heavily on the other side of the map. But this time, it is not happening because they are ahead of the tempo. They're ahead of the pace of the game, and it is really showing in play after play after play.
I know that Brazil has a rough relationship with the 7-1 scoreline, but this is a good one. This is one that they're locking in here. This is a great 7-1 for Brazil's early game here in game number 3. As Weiser's going in after Dokla here, has that final charge of the needlework ready to go, but Big Doke's going for the outplay. The last hit will do it. Dokla gets the kill there. Curry shows up. Dokla has so much health regeneration when Set is low on HP. Now Romer's got to try to escape in the bottom side as Ayla, Quid, and River are trying to collapse onto the Casio. Pop Blossom from Ayla immediately into the follow-up room prison from Quid. River still on the approach, but the miasma is so difficult to navigate. There should be no way for Romer to get away from this. It's just a matter of time, and the shutdown credit goes to River.
Big plays back-to-back there. 400 Thieves opposite sides of the map. Dokla gets the solo kill onto Weiser and is able to survive even with the TP coming in from Curry. And then that means it's going to be Romer vulnerable on the bot side.
And we talked about how paiN set up so many of these overload plays in this game so much better. I thought that was a really nice recognition of 100 Thieves of where they could be strong on the map. Even if Dokla, obviously Dokla ended up getting the better of Weiser in that top side, but even if they hadn't, recognizing, okay, we can make a play onto Romer on the bot side, shut down this Casio.
And I mean, honestly, you're going to have to really slow down the Casio, even with that kill onto Romer. The gold did not go to Quid. Quid is very far behind in this mid lane matchup. You know, that's a 1.3k gold lead right there. And it's the first time really in the series where it feels like Quid has been put so far behind. And he's been such a key part of 100 Thieves' success really all year long. So definitely is going to mean good things for paiN.
I mean, we remember back to game number 1, his Orianna just slamming that Galio matchup from level 1, totally controlling the lane. And now in game number 3, with the Casio counterpick, with the assistance from Carioca nice and early to keep the pressure on Quid, Romer has really been set up for success.
He really has, and he's on a champion that I think is also very successful into what has been drafted, right? It's a lot of short range. It's not like you're going to be getting poked down here. Casio can 1v9 this game. You really are in a great spot here. So it's time to see if he can step up. Now, this is paiN's record against the NA coming into this series. Of course, he's now 1-7, given how the first 2 games went. But they have been very competitive in Game 2. Game 3, they're looking quite good again. We are seeing, I do think, a progression from the LTA South. We saw, you know, at MSI, G2 went 5 games against Furia, almost lost to them. Yeah. And we're seeing, you know, more and more of I think the LTA South teams challenging these teams that are kind of perceived to be above them.
And that's what makes it fun, right? Seeing them be able to elevate their play, seeing them be able to pose a legitimate threat to squads like 100 Thieves, who have been a contender ever since their resurgence back into form at the beginning of the best of 5s, right? Like, this is a squad that we've talked about it so many times. There were a lot of players, there were a lot of perspectives here in the North of people saying, yeah, man, 100 Thieves is potentially the worst team in the league here during the regular split earlier on this year. But now they've bounced back. They've been playing really well. So much of it is the team fighting, though, and that's what my eyes are going to be on now. We're firmly into the mid game. We're going to start seeing more and more of the large team fights, and paiN has to show me that they can lock in and beat 100 Thieves in a battle of hands.
Yeah, and I mean, that's where this Casio is going to be absolutely massive. I did like the initial setup from 100 Thieves, right? They're pushing in on this top side. Dokla is actually going to be able to get this turret as the 2 other teams kind of dance around this mid. But previously, they'd have had FBI and Ayla kind of pushing down mid.
Oh, boy. River is going to lose 60% of his HP there. Yeah, that was just a ton of damage from Carioca. The subjugate was also used. River is very low, but Dokla is now the one under pressure. He tries to go back around with a showstopper. Yeah, he hits a big haymaker, but it won't matter. He's down in a 1v5. paiN pick up kill number 8.
Nicely done there. You know, Carioca just pushes them out, but again, 100 Thieves responding with a tower. They're shoving mid lane. River on the Kiana, there's no point in the game where you beat the Shundle 1v1. It's just not really going to happen. So, you know, you have to try to be able to play around that and find these approaches where you can get in onto the backliners. That really is his job this game, but it's very difficult. And the Trundle is going to know this, and he's going to be hunting for you, looking to try to match you and push you out, as is Weiser. So, paiN in a pretty good spot, but they are going to be giving up this dragon as well.
Yeah, 100 Thieves decided kind of not to contest that. Instead, push out mid, get that tier 1, and are able to rotate on and start stacking Drakes potentially as a way to get back in the game, as a way to set up some of these fights in their favor.
And to give some context, Quid's worst gold difference at 14 in the entire split was negative 429. That was the worst mark he had.
Well,
this game,
today.
he was down 1.2K. So
3 times as much.
Exactly, 3 times as much as what had been his entire, his worst one all split long. So, Quid has been very good in lane, and his team has been very good about playing around him, getting him kills, getting him into a great spot. This time, he definitely is a little bit more on that struggle bus. I mean, you can see Romer has double items already completed. Of course, you're going to have that a lot faster because you have to buy merc treads on the other side, and the snakes don't need boots.
Right.
But
slither, sneaky critter.
That being said, he still is way behind the curve.
All right, that red buff should be secured here by paiN for paiN's side. There are no neutral objectives to fight over right now. Otacon's going to be spawning in 2 minutes, but that's still a good ways away.
I love the Axiom Arc here from River. This is a pretty spicy build. He's going Profane Hydra into the Axiom Arc, so going to have potentially really low cooldown on the ultis.
Yeah, and this is the build that we've seen coming out of a lot of LPL junglers going the Axiom Arc. I also really like it. We'll see. He hasn't had... I did like his recovery initially with his pathing response, but he definitely hasn't thus far had a kind of breakout Qiyana performance in this game.
I just really like Axiom Arc because it's a funny item. You can start the team fight out with your ultimate, and then if the team fight goes for 20 seconds and there's 3 or 4 casualties, it could get even crazier as Dokla trying to get away here, and he will just barely escape the threat of the collapse from paiN.
Yeah, going to be able to survive. Does have to use his TP for it, but Romer spent a TP of his own, so not really a big deal.
Yeah.
FBI just quietly farming away here still. We haven't really been paying much attention to the Sivir. It was, of course, lethality as expected when we saw the Hail of Blades, but FBI on 2 items and is going to be wave clearing out very effectively.
All right, Herald summoned up mid, though, immediately crashing that into the tier 1, but now the catch on Titan. River finds exactly what he needed, and the tier 1 turret even survives the Herald. 100 Thieves get a nice punish.
Yeah, 100 Thieves stymie that push, and Quid had been trying to cheat up, being like, okay, maybe I wrap around, maybe we look for the fight that way. Doesn't even have to. After that catch onto Chiton, they'll be able to take down this tier 1 turret. And 100 Thieves have wrested the gold back in their favor.
And it's just a really nice play from River. Coming over from that Raptor Brush, there was not a ward in it. They were not really understanding where Qiyana could come from. I think this is sometimes one of these things where when you don't play against a champion a lot, you don't think about the different angles of approach that they can have.
Yeah.
Everyone knows Fiddlesticks can come over from that area.
Yeah.
People are not thinking necessarily about Qiyana in that same way. And River just EQs over the wall, ults him in, and you are just one shot just like that. So River finding a great angle and does end up putting them into a really nice spot here coming up onto this next dragon. Again, 100 Thieves have wrestled back the gold lead. There is still an edge for Romer, but everything else is in 100 Thieves' favor, and they got the first 2 dragons.
And Otacon is now spawned. It actually looks like paiN wants to move in onto it first.
Oh boy.
With Quid still on this top side, shoving in this wave. And Sivir in mid.
They're kind of just getting hit by it for free.
Yeah, they're trying to pull it down towards this bottom part of the pit, closer to the lane, but they are taking an awful long time doing it. TP's coming in. 100 Thieves ready to try to fight for the Otacon here. Dokla on the right side of the fight, looking for his angle there as the rest of 100 Thieves approach from the river direction. You do have the Otacon down to about 40% HP now. paiN Gaming still trying to secure this objective. Karaoke's already down to half HP. 100 Thieves stepping in. Big showstopper coming up for Big Dokes as the Otacon is at least secured for paiN. But now the follow-up will not go their way. It's already 2 dead. 100 Thieves looking for even more. FBI on the chase. Karaoke still trying to escape. FBI gets the auto attacks into the boomerang blade. It's 3 dead on paiN Gaming.
100 Thieves were talking about these Otacon setups, right? And they were talking about how they looked at LPL and LCK VODs. If you don't want to go for the objective, go for the fight, right? And with all that damage, the paiN were just constantly face tanking from that Otacon. The fight goes beautifully for 100 Thieves.
I mean, paiN were just not dodging any abilities at all. There was 50 stacks of Frail and Unworthy on Karaoke. Like, that is crazy.
Minus 50 armor and MR, just flat out.
Exactly.
Unlucky.
Think about how much gold you have to spend to get that kind of flat pen, right? Like, how much lethality you have to spend to get that. It is an enormous amount of gold. And he was just face tanking this. I mean, watch, as it's getting low, he's starting to move around a little bit, but he's just been tanking the orbs. They go in. Dokla kind of pulls him out a little bit with the anti-synergy there from Ayla. FBI had a great spell shield on the Casio ult, just piles in, and Weiser then is sectioned off on the side. All of 100 Thieves just know the chase is on. paiN was so softened up, and they just get routed in this fight.
And now back to live, we might have yet another one. You can see some frustration in the back rooms there as River's jumping into the middle of everybody. Immediately finds Supreme Display of Talent onto Romer, but instead it's River who's killed off first. Dokla looking for his chance here in the middle of the fight, but he does not get a big haymaker. Instead, Weiser takes him down.
Ricochets.
paiN is already killed off too, but FBI is looking to get some AoE damage out of these ricochets. Quid flashing forward. He wants to try to get the Rune Prison onto Romer, but he doesn't have the distance. Quid overestimating just how close that flash would take him. Loses the Summoner spell.
Yeah, he loses the Summoner spell, and now they have to try to wait for River to get back here. So they need to try to delay. They want to try to guard this dragon and allow their team to respawn so they can try to get this dragon here still. River had a very clever approach, but no one could really follow up on the damage. He was too far ahead of the team.
Yeah, I don't think the team was in a particularly good position to follow up, and then Romer was able to get a ton of Casio damage down as well.
They have Hex Gates. We're going to get a round 2. Dokla's TPing deep.
Yep, it's a deep TP from Big Dokes. paiN have control over the Dragon Pit for now. FBI down to half HP. Drake already secured for the side of paiN, but River and Dokla are making their way forward. Weiser's going to be the first target as River jumps in on top of him, but the flash over the wall keeps the Gwen alive for now. 100 Thieves, they lose the objective, and they haven't found any kills just yet. So far, this is success for paiN Gaming.
Yeah, nicely handled there by paiN. I thought they would be able to get some exit kills, but they couldn't actually lock them down. Does cost Weiser his flash, but honestly, who cares? Flash for a dragon is great for them. Karaoke, though, playing with fire a bit. 100 Thieves are still in the area.
Yeah, River jumping in there. Going to see if he can at least contest for the red buff here a bit as paiN is reinforcing their jungler. River's got to try to get away from this one. Defensive Supreme Display of Talent trying to knock the Trundle away. River jumps back over the wall. Karaoke with no flash can't chase after him. The redemption to heal River, but it's not a healing redemption. It's a sniper blast, and Curry gets the last hit.
Wait, did he realize that it wasn't on his team? It seemed like he was kind of slow to walk out of it. I'm not sure if he actually realized or if he was trying to stay into that. Would he have died to the Trundle anyway?
Well,
that was kind of...
Ayla doesn't even have it.
That's what I'm saying.
Right?
Like, it seemed like he was kind of walking out slowly, but maybe that's as fast as he can get out. I'm going to go back and watch because that was a little bit crazy.
Meanwhile, I was just thinking, wow, he can't possibly keep getting away with this.
He did stop. Right? So he definitely thought it was his redemption.
Yeah.
I just don't think realized that they didn't have one. He just sees the redemption coming back, and he's like, great. Because it seemed like he kind of stutter steps. Watch when it goes down. He kind of stops. I think he's...
Yeah, and then he tried to get to the
difference. I don't know if it would have made the difference, but he did hesitate for a moment, and I think he kind of realized, wait, we don't have redemption.
It's like, hold on, guys.
Oh, Baron.
paiN on the Baron.
Yep, Baron is started. As soon as it spawns, paiN are immediate to go to the area and begin the objective. Baron already down to half HP, as now on the front line yet again. Dokla's going to be your target. paiN Gaming putting a lot of damage into the set, and Titan takes him out. Nice aim from the paiN AD carry as Curry wants to re-engage, but he has to pay for it with his own life. Quid continuing to try to run. Weiser's here on the front line, but FBI's putting out the damage. FBI, Ayla, and Quid versus Titan, Romer, and Karaoke. It's 2 dead on either side. Quid still looking for a little bit more on Romer here. Nice sidestep away from the Noxious Blast. But the fight is done, and the dust will settle 2 for 2.
Yeah, fight goes 2 for 2, but more importantly for 100 Thieves, they end up stopping that Baron attempt, right? It ended up looking really, really good for paiN initially, but then as we talked about, those ricochets from Sivir are really, really starting to hurt.
Absolutely. I mean, if you're not on the Sivir is doing a lot of damage. Now, Dokla couldn't get a great W here and then gets sniped down. Ayla forces the flash out from Titan, but then so many of your tools are gone. So Curry decides we are going to send it. And yes, you are in on the Quid, but FBI was getting a lot of damage down here. River with his dying breath stuns Weiser into the wall, and that's when FBI flashes forward, finds his angle to finish off the kill and keep the fight even. But a lot of summoners, big ones spent on both sides. Both supports have no flash, both ADs have no flash, and Quid has no flash either.
Here we go again. You can see Ayla tossing the Blooming Blows over the wall to make, or Blooming Blossom, I think. Blooming Blows is the Lilia one. They're very similar. Either way, he throws throws that lob thing over the wall to antagonize Baron, do some damage to paiN. 100 Thieves looking to go in here. Nice ulti coming out from Romer. The 3-man Petrifying Gaze is enough to set it up to kill FBI at the very beginning of the fight. Titan's trying to get away from River, but the Kiana makes it a 1-for-1 there. Wiser and Carioca trying to find the solution for Dokla here as the needlework does connect. Dokla continuing to try to make a little bit more distance. It's a 3-for-3 so far. Ayla does not have a lot of health to work with. Dokla does not have a lot of health to work with. They're going to continue trying to get away from this one. Carioca does have the dead man's blade. Pop Blossom finds Wiser, who's now incredibly low. Dokla trying to stand and fight, and Ayla's got the kill into Carioca. Dokla and Ayla winning out in the 2v2 on the back end of the fight. Nicely played from 100 Thieves.
I cannot believe they ended up winning out there. That looked like a little bit of over-aggression again coming out of 100 Thieves on this top side, where they go in with the Realm Warp trying to set up.
They didn't know that the extras were here. They thought they had to catch on to Roamer is I think what happened.
Yeah. And then they get on to Curry. He doesn't last long, but Roamer is able to get off so much damage.
Yeah.
The big thing, though, is Supreme Display of Talent catches Roamer. Dokla is able to clean him up, so up.
Oh boy, we got a problem now. Quid is already down. Nice pick from paiN Gaming as Dokla can take the Hex Gate to get himself away just barely in time. That's 45 seconds until Quid is back alive on this rise. That's a pretty big pick for paiN, but they want to turn it into something else.
Yeah.
The Baron is alive. The Dragon is spawning here in about 2 seconds. It's still a 3,000 gold lead for 100 Thieves. They're 4v5 on the map for now, and paiN are starting up the Baron. Keep your eyes on River as he wants to try to find an opportunity to make his way in. Dokla approaching from the top. Redemption summoned up by paiN to try to keep the health bars ready to go. Baron down to 4,000. Showstopper over the wall. Roamer is under pressure. Ayla goes in for massive Pop Blossom. The Baron is secured by paiN Gaming, but they're being wiped off of the map. Carioca the next to fall. A triple kill for River Kiana, and Ayla does not want to let Wiser get away. This is a very important kill. It would eliminate Baron from everyone on paiN, but Wiser barely escapes.
The supreme display of talent is just that from River. The timing as River, Ayla, Dokla all go in together was beautiful, and Dokla, his ulti was sick, stacking up multiple members here. Watch as Dokla goes in. Everyone engages at the same time. He finds his opportunity right here. He's going to ult Wiser onto the backline, right in onto Roamer and Titan. Hits them both. Then River comes over the wall. Ayla comes over the wall. Look at this combo. All three of the 100 Thieves members find the stacked up paiN team and just delete them.
And that's the team fight this comp has been looking for. I've actually thought 100 Thieves have looked uncharacteristically desynchronized in a lot of these fights, right? We've seen Grayson relieved, as we've seen the Pop Blossom desynced and kind of whiff, right? We've seen the Supreme Display of Talent not be too far ahead of the fight. That one, everything combos exactly as 100 Thieves would have wanted.
I mean, it was beautiful, and quietly, FBI just constantly farming away. He's got his IE now, and that is often where I kind of feel like the clock strikes midnight and the fun is over. As when Sivir has 3+ items, has level 16, if you're hitting at all, it just starts to feel like your team just melts, right? And he has the heal cut as well, knowing that there is a lot of healing over on this other side. Now he's got the Mortal Reminder even done, so he is going to be ridiculously strong at this point. He's on 100% crit. If he can get a few free autos off, it is going to be so problematic.
Seeker's Arm Guard also built for Ayla here on this Nico. So this is a massive playmaking tool for the next upcoming fight as well. Exactly, the Sterix Gauge for Dokla. All of these resources coming online for 100 Thieves. River is almost full build. He only needs one more item, right? He's got Cyrilda's plus the Edge of Night also completed. The lethality on this Kiana is so high right now. It's an 18-17 game, more than 1 kill per minute here 30 minutes into this one. This
I told you just had to wait.
Kind of what I was
just the
hoping
appetizer
for from this series, and now 100 Thieves are ready to try to defend their jungle. Curry takes a little bit of damage, finds an ulti onto Dokla for not great effect. Dokla is low here. Sterix plus the Haymaker trying to keep himself alive, but Wiser's already on a killing spree, and Dokla is down. 100 Thieves lines are broken, and they're going to have to retreat. Really well played. They just find this catch onto Dokla. He had no flash, and even when he turns around for this full-powered Haymaker, the Hallowed Mist easily answers it from Wiser. 100 Thieves playing with fire a little bit around here, but they have a lot of wave clear, so at the end of the day, it's just going to be the 1 kill because there's no objectives to get. Yeah. And you can see as the Red Bull Baron expires, it is a negative 100 up just thereabouts. Yeah. So definitely not what they were hoping for from this objective. And yeah, Dokla going down sucks, but he didn't spend flash, he didn't spend ult. It's not that big of a deal. Right. It's not like they get to deny the Hex Soul because they got the pick on Dokla there. So 100 Thieves going to need to regroup here. They still do have a pretty commanding lead. The Flower Petals are so close, it doesn't really make that much of a difference in terms of the stat comparison between the two teams. But 3,500 gold plus the soul point status that will always force paiN Gaming to come and fight for the Drakes, very important.
And I was going to say, Dokla's been scrapping a lot, so I wouldn't have been surprised to see him up at the top. And that's about 2 good Ws to get to 25,000 damage. So you have to watch out. When people are on this Overlords build, it is so easy to get baited by 10% HP on a set, and then all of a sudden you get W flash and your whole team just instantly dies. Like, it can hit for ridiculous amounts of damage. We saw it onto Roamer over by that Baron fight. He got a fat W with the true damage onto him and just deleted him. So paiN have got to continue to play with respect. Even though Dokla hasn't had an explosive game by any means, with this build, 1 good W wins the entire game.
Yeah, I mean, he just has so much setup for this 100 Thieves fight. And with this composition, it's been less about like what it can do and more about 100 Thieves actually being able to get that fight where they combo the Set, Qiyana, and the Nico to try to initiate and set up their damage dealers.
All right, Curry's going to place down a little bit of vision here in the enemy jungle. It is 90 seconds until the soul spawns. It is also just about 90 seconds until Baron respawns on the map. So we will have that interesting game state where both of those very alluring objectives are going to be up at the same time. Wiser getting away from River here. Wiser very close to completing Death Cap on his own. Also has an unbroken arm guard. So this Gwen also with the opportunity. We're mentioning how Dokla can be this big difference maker with a massive haymaker in the middle of a team fight. Wiser can really run away with it too if he's properly making sure that he's getting value out of the Hallowed Mist and getting access to those good targets.
Problem is he still needs about 400 more gold, so we'll see if he's actually going to be able to get that in time for this next fight, but he's scared to even walk up to the wave, so I don't think he's going to be able to do it. We'll see if he just buys a Zonia's or something, if he can complete something else or just pots up.
Yeah, yeah, there we go.
Yeah, he just didn't have the gold for Death Cap, and he knows this is probably their year on the line. If you lose this, your year is done, so you can't wait for Death Cap, unfortunately.
All right, 30 seconds until the Hex Soul would spawn for 100 Thieves. paiN knows they do not want to give away that massive power spike. Eyes on River down here in the bottom lane. The 9-kill Qiyana. Almost the entirety of the gold lead can be attributed to River specifically. So big value out of the supreme display of talent. Big burst onto a valuable target is the name of the game here for 100 Thieves and for River specifically. Yeah, 3,400 gold lead for 100 Thieves as a team. 3.1 for just River on the Qiyana. Doing so much work here in this game.
Not a bad Qiyana debut, I'll say that much.
No,
but
sir.
We'll see if they can close it out. Ayla is going to be threatening on the side, and you can see Quid could look to try to deliver someone to the backline if he wants with the Realm Warp, because that is up and available. It all comes down to this.
All right, paiN are going to go ahead and start up the Drake. 100 Thieves, Ayla, and Dokla are the ones peeking out of the fog right now. Very slow DPS onto the objective itself as River wants to wrap around the backside of the area. See if he can find the gank angle. Goes over the wall. Dokla losing a lot of HP here to Wiser. The Sterix keeping him alive for now. River wants to try to protect his top laner. Curry is already down. FBI got the kill on that one. Wiser is down. The Hex Tech Drake stolen away by River. 100 Thieves looking for even more. Titan is slowed down. Beat down. He's gone. Quid takes the kill. It's 3 for 1, plus a soul, 100 Thieves.
I heckin' love watching River play. I'm not allowed to swear on broadcast anymore. That was a swear-worthy play. He keeps denying other people of these objectives. It started off a little slow, ending up being a fantastic Qiyana debut, and I just love how he's always looking for these crazy angles in these fights. We've talked about how 100 Thieves like to use Hex Gates. We've talked about how River loves to specifically set up these flanking plays. Great display of it there, and man, I just love watching him play.
I mean, he is just such a fun jungler to watch here, and we're going to get to watch it one more time. Dokla, is scrapping with Wiser here, but Wiser is kind of winning out in this fight, and River decides he's going to help out Dokla, but watch River. As the Dragon is pulled against the wall, he uses the ulti plus the Flash Smite to combo there. So that was just a beautiful combo coming through. Flashes in, smites, finishes it off, bursts that down, and once they have it, there's just no running away from the slows, from the Hex Soul, plus the speed ups from the Sivir, the Realm Warp, everything there. And now you got one more chance maybe for paiN if you're lucky, but you're already down 6.5K and the Soul on top and the Baron on top of that. The amount of additional stats they have, it's just not even close.
Yeah, and another kind of unsung thing in that fight, but something that's going to make a huge difference is just the damage coming out of FBI. You saw how much he is able to soften up paiN on the top side of that fight as well. We talked about how much these ricochets really, really hurt coming out of this Sivir. So yeah, it's basically like you have an extra little bit of poke coming out of that, and they're now going to be able to set up to push in these two waves and try to make things really difficult for paiN.
Yeah, we remember when paiN got the Baron, 4 out of 5 of them died. They weren't really able to use it to great efficacy. By the time the timer ran out, you observed it, Azael. It was negative 90 gold overall in the play. 100 Thieves are looking for a much more impressive Baron effect overall. Dokla does take a lot of damage, but they can't actually threaten anything lethal on.
I mean, that was both the bot lane's ults, right? You know, that is the Chains of Corruption and the Death Charge coming through. So they do get a chunk, but not really worth a lot. And he can always just TP back if he feels he needs to. Looks like he'll do just that. 100 Thieves just keeping this full court press up. River is just being really annoying, playing around this brush constantly, just constantly using that grass blade, staying in invis, looking for poke over the wall. That's 100 Thieves now on the march. You have to think they're going to try to pressure on this wave.
Yeah, but here we go. 2/3 HP on the tier 3 turret. 100 Thieves stepping up. Dokla here in the front line. Pop Blossom, but it only finds one. Dokla buying a little bit more time as Titan falls. Dokla getting the kill credit on that one. Roamer still slithering away, but 100 Thieves want to keep the pressure on. Wiser can't get the kill on FBI. They might have finally got the AD carry, but it's too little, too late. River and Quid stand tall. A triple kill for the Kiana here in the very last team fight. And 100 Thieves are going to take it straight to the Nexus. They will eliminate paiN Gaming from contention for Dallas and Worlds, and they will earn themselves a 3-0 victory.
And what a way to do it. Dokla hits the W, the haymaker right to the face of Titan. Did about 90% of his health with one W, instantaneously deleted him. He solo killed Titan in the middle of his entire team in their base to help secure it, and 100 Thieves gonna pull off the sweep.